Hi everyone, welcome to my new YouTube channel. It is for anyone who is really looking for what truth is and how they can find truth. I know a lot of times in the world, truth is subjective and it's all about your perspective and you know what you think is right or wrong for every circumstance. But there is real truth to be found. And so that's what this YouTube channel is all about. My name is Michelle and I'm really excited to have you join. The first thing we're going to do is a 12 video series on how to live a life of victory. Now, I know all of us want to have a life that is successful and filled with happiness and exciting and, a life that is meaningful. But I really would like to ask you, how do we do that, right? It's easy to say that we want those things and read all up on them and listen to positive thinkers and all of those common things that we continually are flooded with. But at the end of the day, how do we really live a life that is not swayed to and fro, is not knocked over by the circumstances of life that comes along? Life can be hard, life can be challenging. And so I kind of was looking at, how does society define a winning life, or how to win in life, or how to be successful? And WikiHow defines how to be successful in life as this: learning how to grow as a person while creating healthy, happy relationships. Now, I think that's a great thing to do, right? I think it's good for us to all learn to grow and develop happy and healthy relationships. But is that all there is? And how do we even do that? I think that there's a more important definition of how to live a life that is solid and not easily knocked over. And that definition is God's definition. And so that's what this 12 weeks is about, right? Really understanding what his plan is for how we can have that kind of a life. So I guess I want to just ask you a question. I want to start by asking you a question. If I told you that I had a blueprint to show you a path through life that could navigate all of life's trials and troubles, and you could navigate that in a way that you could still have peace, that you could still find meaning, that you could still have joy unspeakable, and still feel like you were living an abundant life. If I said that I had a plan that could show you how to do that, would you take me up on it? You might. I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for. So I would like to invite you to come on this journey with me as we start to look at that plan. And that blueprint isn't a how, it's a who. And so we're going to look at the who of that blueprint. And I just want you to take a minute before we start this journey to really identify, what is it that you are afraid of? What's your worst fear? What is it that feels like it's dragging you down into the mire? What is it that feels like it just blindsides you and knocks you over in life? What are those circumstances that keep you up at night? What are those relationships that feel like they just drain you and you can't make any headway in? Um, I want to tell you that we all have those experiences in life, and I've had my fair share of them as well. And I would like to invite you to this journey because it's a pathway to not getting rid of those difficulties in life, but learning how to find joy and peace in them. So if I told you that on this journey, you might experience these tragic circumstances or these difficult relationships, but you could still sleep at night. You could still feel like your life had meaning and purpose. You could still have joy. That's what this journey's about. But it's a little bit more than just that. You see, God's definition to living a life of victory and joy has to focus on the next life. So, why is God's definition important? God's definition is important if we believe and understand that this life isn't all there is, right? We may live 50, 60, 80, 90 years here on this earth, and we want it to be a life that's meaningful, and we want to have a legacy, and we want to make a difference. But what are we making a difference for, and who is that legacy for? And yes, it's for the people who are coming after us on this earth. But more importantly, God's definition of living a life of victory is living a life that is focused and setting us up for the next life. Now, you have to accept that there's a next life after this one, right? And if you can accept that, then this journey is for you. I want you to consider that your existence here on earth is a small, tiny dot in the expanse of eternity. Ezekiel 3:11 says that God has placed eternity in all of our hearts. And what that means is that we are all eternal beings. So we have a spirit and a soul that will live for all eternity, forever and ever. We will never cease to exist. For now, in our time on earth, God has put that eternal entity within a shell of a human body. And so we are bound by space and time, and we have very limited view, right? We can see in 3.5 dimensions here on Earth, but scientists will even agree that there are more than 10 dimensions out there. So there's so much more that we can't see here on Earth. And that is really where our sight should be, right? That's why God brought us to this earth to live out this little tiny bit of time. He's preparing us for the next eternal state. And so I'd like you today, after you close out this video, to take a step outside tonight and look at the sky. And I would love for you to be able to identify one tiny little star in that sky, and look at that star and say, that's me. That's my life here on earth. That is the time that I have to really make count for eternity. And that one little dot of a star, that one little light, is set against the expanse of the whole entire universe and galaxies upon galaxies. And the entire universe and all of those galaxies that we cannot even comprehend is what eternity is. And so I want you just to kind of get that perspective, right? That this life here is this one little dot in the entire expanse of the black night sky that is eternity. And so whatever you do here on earth, you will carry into that next life. And that is why it is so important. So I'm going to leave you on that note. Thank you so much for joining me. And we'll talk the next video about what do we do with that reality.